What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I got hit tonight with a pleasant surprise. So, for all of you out there who own something in the 3DS family, be it a 3DS, 3DS XL, any form of 2DS, or even the new Nintendo 3DS, you will probably be familiar with the Sega 3D Classics line. So, the Sega 3D Classics line it's very similar to the Nintendo Virtual Console, which is on the 3DS as well, but it's its own section now. It's obviously dedicated to just Sega games, and not just any Sega games, but they're essentially, well, as the name suggests, they're Sega classic games, such as you've got Afterburner, Outrun, Space Harrier, Sonic, Streets of Rage, just among other titles, and they're basically they're essentially remastered. They're 3D remasters, basically. Now, I was I was looking through my 3DS today, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna download these three games. I said I was gonna download Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and they also have Streets of Rage 1 and 2. So I said I'm gonna download these. These games are great games, and they'd be nice to have on the actual, even if the rest of the quality isn't great. This is what I thought beforehand, but even if the rest of the quality isn't great, it would just be nice to have these three games to play when I'm out and about, if I feel like playing these games, so it's a handy little thing to have in a virtual console. Now, they're fairly inexpensive games. They're only €4.49 each. Actually, I think one of them was I think Streets of Rage 2 was $4.99. But either way, they're less than €5 each anyway. So it's the kind of thing you'd expect. They're priced competitively to the other virtual console style of games. I mean, you look at virtual console games on the Wii U, you look at virtual console games on the 3DS. They're priced competitively for that. So I turned the game on. I downloaded Streets of Rage 1 first, and I turned it on. And I was blown away with what I saw. Now, I was expecting basically the standard game, just with practically no improvements, just for 3D. Now, what I got was very different, in a very good way. So what I actually got was the ability to change between the international version and the Japanese version of the game, which there's minor differences out for those of you out there. Sometimes it's things like background art, level art. Sometimes it is, say, character design. Sometimes you see, I think it's Streets of Rage 2, perhaps, where someone is smoking in one of them, and because of censorship laws and all that kind of thing, it was taken out in different regions, and guns and in certain things, and there's all sorts of minor changes like that. So you have the ability to pick between the international version and the Japanese version, which is very nice, because it I won't say it completely changes the second playthrough, but you can see the minor differences, and you can play the version which you're familiar with. And there's other enhancements too. So obviously the game is remade in 3D. Well, I won't say remade, but it's not the exact. It doesn't feel like it's the exact same low resolution thing. It feels like they've actually done some work on the quality of everything, and it works really well. The 3D effect is also really good. I was never usually that much of a huge fan of the 3D on the Nintendo 3DS, mainly because I was usually playing on my old launch Nintendo 3DS. So it wasn't even an XL, it was my old standard small screen one, and we all know the 3D on that was very wonky because you had to be in a very specific position. But the 3D on the new 3DS, which is the one I have, it has the phase tracking camera, so even if there's slight movements, you're not phase shifted out, and it still looks really good, and it's fairly consistent, which is one of the key things. Now, I usually play with the 3D at anywhere between 10 and 20%. I don't usually have it turned all the way up. I don't have it turned really high or really intense. I do keep it low whenever I do use it. It does show off the 3D effect nicely, and it doesn't give me a wicked headache. I know if I turn it up to like 50%, I get a headache after about 2 minutes. If I turn it all the way up to full, I have instant headache and instant eye pain within seconds, because it's just however the depth on it works for me, it just doesn't happen. But the 3D effect is really nice, and there's two forms of 3D as well. So there's the fallback and pop out versions of 3D. I'll go into them real quick as well. The fallback version is anything that would be basically sprite based, or anything that you would usually expect to pop out at you in 3D. Instead of them popping out towards you, they basically sink back further into the image. So you still get the same 3D effect, just in a slightly different way. Or you can change it to the pop out version, which is personally the one I use. I think it looks slightly better, just that's my opinion and how I perceive it. So I use the pop out version, which, as you'd expect, it has all the kind of things that would usually pop out at you in 3D to pop out, obviously. Other than that, you've got all the, you can map the controls. There's also there's an interesting one. There's a screen changer. So there's the normal screen and there's the classic screen. Now the normal screen is basically what I've been describing so far. It's got the, we'll call them updated graphics, if you will. Again, it's not anything major. It hasn't been hugely overhauled, but it is noticeably different and noticeably better, while still keeping the same aesthetic of the original game. But if you switch to classic, it emulates an old CRT tube TV. So it has a 4:3 screen. It's got the kind of blurry colors. You've got the low resolution, and it's got the appearance of the curved the curved CRT screen. So it's a nice little extra nostalgia feature that's thrown in there. Personally, I would recommend playing with the normal screen the entire time, because it really helps it stand out. So there's another feature in there as well. It's probably the last one I'm gonna touch on for the feature list anyway. Is it has what's basically called PSG emulation. Now PSG emulation is basically the sound chip and the sound system that was in the Sega Mega Drive or the Sega Genesis, if you're an American user or American listener. And what they can do is, you had the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis. You also had the Mega Drive 2, and I'm going to assume you had a Genesis 2 in America. The Mega Drive 2 had a better PSG sound system. It was like, so it had better quality audio. They were all very minute, but in the case of the Mega Drive 2, yes, the sound quality was better overall, and it was a bit better range, it was a bit wider. But the main thing was it had a bit more bass in it. Now, I'm a bass guy. I usually play 3DS or most handhelds, because I usually play them at home. I'm sitting here with a nice expensive pair of headphones on. Depends on the game I'm playing and the music style, and it depends on which headphones I use. But it's really noticeable, and it is nice in there, especially as I did purchase a Mega Drive 2 earlier this year. So everything, it transfers and translates over to me really well. It seems like, yeah, this is what I have in the other aspects of my house. So that's it for Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 2, very similar. It's got pretty much all the similar stuff. It has all the similar features. It's got the fallback 3D, the pop out 3D, the classic screen, the normal screen, the PSG 1 and 2 emulation. Sonic the Hedgehog is exactly the same. It has all those features. One thing as well that is really nice, in the case of, it's not just the case of Sonic the Hedgehog, but it works across all three games that I personally tried. I'm sure it applies to all the other games in the Sega 3D Classic line as well, even though I have not tested them, and I don't, based on the lineup, I probably won't buy any more of the existing ones, but we'll see how it goes. But currently, all the games that are on there, they enjoy performance enhancements, like actual performance enhancements. So Sonic the Hedgehog, for example, it obviously looks clearer, and if it plays and feels a lot better, and it feels more responsive. So it's a very great port, if you will, of Sonic the Hedgehog to have on any console in your 3DS family, or your 2DS. Well, 2DS is in the 3DS family, so anything in your 3DS family. So it's great to be able to play just little Sonic the Hedgehog on the go, little maybe Streets of Rage on the go, Streets of Rage 2 on the go, or any of the other games in the series that you might download and be interested in. So I would have been happy even if they had just given me the base game, the original ported game, with no enhancements and a little bit of 3D. Hell, even if the 3D looked crap, I just would have turned it off and I would have happily played it in 2D. But the fact that it not only completely exceeded my demands in so many ways. It makes it even more worth it, in my personal opinion. Now, the Sega 3D Classic line has been out for a while, and I have not got around to testing it, and have not got around to doing anything until today. So I had been planning on doing it a long time ago when they were first announced. I think Streets of Rage was the first game that had interested me on there, or maybe it was Sonic the Hedgehog. It's been a while, so I can't remember for sure. But it's definitely worth it. It's definitely so far. If you're into, if you see a game in there that you think is like, oh well, I wouldn't mind having this even if it was the basic port, definitely do invest in that game. I doubt you will be disappointed. If it's anything like the 3 games I bought and tried out today, you will definitely not be disappointed, because I've said it before, I'm just going to say it one more time. They're not just the bog standard ROM ports or bog standard emulation ports. They come with all sorts of enhanced features, better performance, better graphics, and just all those extra features that really, really make it worth the €4.50, €5, or whatever it is in whatever currency that whatever country you live in. So I definitely recommend giving anything in that list a try, even if there's just one game or more. But just try one first, see how you like the difference, and then maybe you can add a couple of those games to your retro virtual console collection. Because I know I like to have a retro collection / virtual console style, just as to give me as much variety as possible whenever I'm doing whatever I'm doing. So let me know in the comment section below what you think on any of the Sega 3D Classics, any of the types of performance increases, any of the types of additional features, anything like that. If you've tried out any of them, if you want to try out any of them, or if you've been kind of hesitant, or if you just don't like the idea of them at all. Let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.